Welcome to the Biopharma Business Intelligence Unit, where symbolic integrity meets strategic clarity. At BBIU, we go beyond the headlines to decode the structural forces behind global biopharma, AI, and economic realignment. If you value precision, verification, and symbolic depth, this channel is for you. Subscribe now to access our weekly briefings, dossiers, and intelligence reports, and consider joining our institutional tier to unlock early warning systems, custom metrics, and exclusive strategic insight. You're not just listening, you're entering the future of epistemic intelligence. www.biopharmabusinessintelligenceunit.com.
Public Blueprint: How to Build an Exceptional Operational Unit in Korean Biotech, led by Kyopo. Introduction. Korea wants to globalize. It invests millions to attract local talent into urban hubs, but it continues to overlook those who could be its most powerful bridge: the Kyopo. Who are the Kyopo? They are descendants of Koreans born or raised abroad. They speak at least two languages, Korean, the language of the country where they grew up. More than bilingual, they have dual cognitive logic. They can interpret cultural codes from both worlds, operate with global strategic vision, and serve as natural bridges between Korea and the outside world. But instead of being valued, many Kyopo have been marginalized, forced to act like pure Koreans, or neutralized by structures that cannot decode them. This blueprint proposes leveraging their true value. Day 0. The base model. Structural key condition. The Kyopo leader must report directly to the CEO or the owner of the company. There can be no intermediate hierarchical filters. If a VP, Korean director, or any middle manager gets in the way, the project will be suffocated before it matures. This means it cannot be an isolated or cosmetic experiment. The CEO or owner must personally understand and support the strategic necessity of this model. Without that awareness at the top, the rest of the design is exposed to passive sabotage or progressive dismantling. Create a unit led by a Kyopo with real power, hiring, firing, budget. Team of fewer than 5 people, with local juniors trained from scratch under a global logic. No reporting to traditional managers or subordination to hierarchical culture. Government provides initial economic support, housing, visa, relocation. The unit is evaluated by impact, not cultural integration. Initial scenarios without structural protection. Scenario description. Probability-based survives 5 years, with partial results and moderate internal interest. 50% truncated sabotage or isolation by middle managers. Kyopo leaves or is neutralized. 35% high expands, becomes national model. Government intervenes. 15%. What do these probabilities mean? These figures are not mathematical predictions, but structural estimates reflecting how Korean organizations typically behave when faced with initiatives that challenge traditional hierarchy, cultural uniformity, and centralized control. 50% base scenario, the most realistic chance if the project is implemented as conceived, with CEO commitment but without extra protections. The unit endures, produces reasonable results, but does not influence other units or gain systemic visibility. A silently functional model, but fragile in the long term if not reinforced. 35% truncated scenario. This is the historically most common pattern. The system reacts to the unknown or uncontrollable with passive blocking. The Kyopo leader is isolated, discredited, or worn down. The team dissolves. Even if results are positive, they are not recognized or defended. The project is quietly deactivated under administrative or organizational pretexts. 15% high scenario requires exceptional conditions, externally validated talent, allies in the C-level, undeniable results, and public narrative support. It's an outlier, but if it happens, it can create real contagion, official recognition, and cascading organizational redesign. How to increase the odds? In addition to structural and catalytic mechanisms, it is essential to establish a system of internal visibility of results. The metrics, progress, and validations achieved by the Kyopo-led unit must be visible within the company, with reports shared across departments and clear internal communications. This serves a dual function. Creates contrast, allows the unit's results to be compared directly with those of traditional units. Generates desire. If it's perceived that the unit works with more autonomy, clarity, and purpose, top internal talent will want to migrate into it. Over time, this can generate a cultural adoption by imitation. Other teams ask to replicate the working logic, and the culture begins to change from within, not by imposition, but by attraction. Structural protection measures, CEO support letter, defines autonomy and KPIs based on impact. Budget protected for 2 years without direct control by the local CFO. Non-intervention contract. The unit cannot be contaminated by external managers. Catalytic measures, visible project with external validation, regulatory, client, publication. Early alliance with a university or international think tank. At least one junior with experience or education abroad. New outlook with protective measures implemented. Scenario description, probability improved, base visible results, external validation, modest internal expansion, 65% truncated, minor risks, usually external or due to political mishandling, 20% high structural contagion, government program, cross-enterprise replication effect, 15%. What changes with these measures? Element without measures with protection catalysts. Kyopo leader autonomy, fragile, revocable, protected by contract and leadership. Budget CFO dependent, assigned for 2 years, shielded. Legitimacy, slow, invisible. Fast, externally validated cultural contagion, unlikely, viable if results are made visible. Base success probability to a 50%, 65 to 70%. What if this change isn't implemented? Let's break the risk into 2 levels: business and national political economic. Business level, biotech and Korean startups. Ongoing talent exodus with continued rejection of qualified Kyopo due to past negative experiences. Decline in regulatory credibility with clinical holds, audit failures, and poor quality CTDs due to lack of strategic thinking. Loss of structural competitiveness compared to more agile global ecosystems, US, Singapore, India. Innovation stagnation with outdated operational models and workplace cultures that reward obedience over outcomes. Isolation from international funds as VCs look for adaptable structures and globally capable leaders. Result: companies that may survive administratively but become strategically irrelevant. National political economic level failure of internal relocation programs. Talent exodus isn't balanced by youth migration from rural regions. Rise in qualified unemployment. Globally educated professionals find no operative space in Korea. Institutional legitimacy crisis. Innovation policies sound good on paper but fail in real-world implementation. Stagnation in value creation from biotech. Korea becomes an assembler or replicator, not a true originator. Greater dependence on foreign consultancies and validations, leading to intellectual capital outflow. In short, without redesigning human and operational architecture from within, Korea will maintain a modern facade while losing functional sovereignty in strategic future sectors. Conclusion: this is not a utopia. It's a functional cell. This blueprint is not about changing all of Korea. It proposes a viable, protected, high-impact unit. The talent already exists. What's missing is the structure that allows it to operate without being suffocated. If Korea wants to survive the coming global cycle, it must stop ignoring its own children. Kyopo are not aesthetic assets. They are the only real possibility for redesign without collapse.